It's going to be a little different episode today on Locked On Cardinals. No draft talk, no free agency talk. We're talking flat out win projections for the 2022 season for the Arizona Cardinals. It's going to be fun. Giddy up. Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome in, Locked On Cardinals. Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know that it's a little bit slower now news-wise. That doesn't mean we're not going to be jam-packed with content here over on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Again, free and available on all platforms. You can check me out tomorrow on Locked On NFL. There's a lot to talk about surrounding the Cardinals. I know there's a lot of redundancy involved between now and the draft, especially when the Cardinals aren't making any sort of big splash moves regarding free agency. But I wanted to take today, and I wanted to give you a little treat, because there is nothing better than looking forward to the next season. There's nothing better than looking and saying, you know what? Because it's weird. Fans, and you can deny this, but don't. You're in the tree, in the nest, in the trust tree. The excitement for a new season is that there's a chance that your favorite football team could go undefeated. It doesn't make any sense. It's completely irrational. And for the majority of the league, it's a fleeting thought, even, as week one approaches. But crazier things have happened than teams going 16-0 or 17-0. So that's why the excitement is like, you know what? It's irrational. Cardinals could go 16 or 17-0. They could. It's mathematically possible. So I'm going to break down the calendar. I know that we don't know when these games are going to be played. I know that we don't know who the Cardinals are going to be playing in Mexico yet. We don't know a lot. We don't know what this team's going to look like. And it's a fun exercise. So you know what? Let's run down this 17-game schedule. And I'm going to give my way too early win-loss projections for the Arizona Cardinals. Let's giddy up into it. Let's just, you know what? So we'll do the boring games, the interdivision games. Let's do those first, okay? So as I'm writing this down as I go, LA Rams at home. I think that'll be a win for the Cardinals. Why do I think that's going to be a win? Because you'd like to think that the way that the season ended last year for the Cardinals is like an acid stain. It's seared into these players' memories. Kyler Murray throwing the pick six is the most embarrassing play that's probably ever happened to him since he started playing football. It probably is. So what we're going to see, hopefully this game is early on in the season. They played them early, but it was on the road last year. I think that we're going to find out a lot about the Arizona Cardinals organization with that game at home, and I think it's going to be a win. Now, Rams on the road, I'll take that as a loss. And I am writing these down as we speak because I've thought about the calendar. I did some prep before this podcast. I'm like, you know what? I know who they play. Let's have a conversation about this, even though it's just me, and kind of come to the answers organically and not, okay, I'm going to write down all the answers to the test. I'm going to read it off the test. No, that's not it. That's not how I conduct things. So I think the Cardinals split with the LA Rams. Seahawks at home, win. Seahawks, road, win. Seahawks are a bad football team. Seahawks are a bad football team. And what the Cardinals haven't had since Kyler Murray's come into existence as the quarterback for the Cardinals, they haven't had a Detroit Lions. They haven't had a Cleveland Browns from a few years ago. They haven't had gimme games. Most divisions have at least one bad team that you play twice. And the NFC West just hasn't. The Cardinals were that team. And sure, during the Bruce Arians years when they won 10 games in a row, Seattle was always better than them, even though they would go late in the season on the road to Seattle and beat them. The Cardinals should beat Seattle twice. Okay? Which is a good feeling that the Cardinals have not felt as of late, because if there were a bad team, it was them. 2017, 2018, 2019. It was them. San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers it's the most fun to talk about because we have no flipping idea what happens in these games. The Cardinals beat them with Colt McCoy last year. What? And the 49ers make the NFC Championship game. The NFC West is getting just weird. Even with Seattle and the Cardinals. Even with the Rams have always kind of, as of late, have been shoulders above a little bit everybody else. Now, sure, the 49ers had their year where they won a bunch of games and went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. But the Rams have had the star power. They've always been projected close to win the division that last few years. So with the 49ers, it's just I have no idea. So what I would say at this point is they'll lose on the road and win at home. So if we're counting, the Cardinals would go 4-2 in division. And I know that I've given a lot of flack to Steve Keim, rightfully so, for not making a whole bunch of moves so far. And we're, over 3 weeks into the free agency period. But I'll give Joanna a shout out here. Their roster is fine. And the Seahawks roster is bad. And the 49ers roster they don't know who their quarterback is. There's talks about Deebo Samuel being on the move. I don't know what's going on. They lost Raheem Mostert even though he was out all of last year. Thank you, fantasy football. But the Cardinals are okay where they are. They probably win, 7 games with the roster they have now. 7? I don't think that's unfair. I mean, they're playing a very, very difficult schedule this season. And they have a lot of holes. 6 games? Their wide receiver room is terrible, aside from DeAndre Hopkins. 6 games? It's around there. So I have the Cardinals going 4-2 in division next year with the way too early projections. Next, it'll be the road games. Out of division road games. Where are the Cardinals going to stack up? Are they going to sniff what they did on the road last year? Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Back in a minute. First, I'm excited to talk about one of the newer sponsors on the Locked On Podcast Network and Locked On Cardinals, Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company that gives you the feature of $200 sunglasses for a fraction of the price. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed durable frames, and premium high-end finishes. Also something you won't find anywhere else is Shady Rays' Insane Protection Program. Shady Rays includes lost and broken protection on every pair. They'll send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. Give them a try, and if you don't love them, you'll pay nothing. It's as simple as that. Plus, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays, exclusively for our listeners. Go to shadyrays.com right now. Use code Locked On to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's code Locked On for their best deal of the season. 50% off 2 or more pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses, backed by over 150,000 verified 5-star reviews. All right, second segment, Locked On Cardinals. Thank you to everybody who makes Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day. Make sure to make your second listen Locked On NFL. And you'll catch me tomorrow. There's a group of hosts from across the Locked On NFL platform. Luke Braun, Ross Jackson, our fearless leader, Tony Wiggins, who's slowly becoming my favorite my favorite host outside of myself, because you have to be confident in this racket. Check it out. Monday through Friday, 30 minutes, national shows, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can check out Locked On NFL on YouTube as well. So I did through the NFC West next year. The Cardinals will go 4-2, split with the Rams, split with the 49ers, sweep the Seahawks. 4-2. Okay. 7 games away with 11 to go for the Cardinals to match their win total from last year. So let's do road games for next season. Now, there's one that is going to be in Mexico. Okay, we don't know which one that is yet. This is the way too early. Let's have some funsies in the middle of a boring time between free agency starting and the draft, and it's only boring because nothing's happened for the Cardinals as of late of notice. Okay, so let's start with, oh man, this schedule is going to be wild next year. Let's start with the Falcons on the road. This team doesn't seem like it's going to be a good team next season. What we saw last year in Detroit, just reminded people, doesn't matter. Every single player that wears a jersey is getting paid a handsome amount of money because they're exemplary at their craft. Sure, there's a spectrum of talent and pay scale, but that doesn't mean that you can take a weekend off, take a Sunday off, and expect to just waltz through. Ask the Cardinals when they could have clinched a playoff spot, lost to Detroit. But I will give a win on the road to Atlanta. I love that stadium. At the Carolina Panthers, this team has been a thorn in the Arizona Cardinals' side. And until they're not, I'm giving them the L. They'll probably draft the quarterback. It's going to be a rookie quarterback, but it's going to be Christian McCaffrey. It's going to be that defense. And it's going to be DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. It's all the usual suspects who the Cardinals cannot beat. They can't beat them. I think Christian McCaffrey was out when maybe he wasn't. But the Cardinals cannot beat the Carolina Panthers. So until they do, I'm picking the Carolina Panthers, even though the Panthers at this point especially do not have as good a roster as the Arizona Cardinals. And this is where the murderer's row begins. This is where it begins. In Denver. Denver Broncos, Russell Wilson, Mile High. At this point, it would behoove me to just take the L here for a couple reasons. One, if it's in the winter, if it's in January, it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold. All right. And it's really high in the air, over 5,000 feet altitude. Their receivers are good. Their running backs are good. Their defense is good. They're going to be good. So they're going to be the Cardinals for the first time in a long time without Chandler Jones, Russell Wilson's kryptonite, rushing the passer. So I will take Denver to beat the Cardinals when the Cardinals visit Mile High, whenever it may be, regardless of temperature, whenever it may be. Cardinals, Raiders. And we're talking about right now, okay? This is way too early. This is way, way, way early, all right? And the Raiders are really good, okay? Their roster is excellent. Devontae Adams, Derek Carr is he's better than people give him credit for. He's a great leader. They've got some running backs. Their defense with Chandler Jones is going to be improved, him and Max Crosby. I don't know if DJ Humphries and Kelvin Beachum will be able to keep those two at bay for 60 minutes. I'm going to give the Cardinals an L there as well. Again, this is way early. And as things are currently constructed, the Raiders have made massive moves this offseason. The Arizona Cardinals, not so much. Next up, and again, these are not in any specific order. I'm just going down the list. All right. Minnesota Vikings. Oh, man. I feel like whenever you have to root for Kirk Cousins, he let you down. And then when you expect Kirk Cousins to do nothing, he comes out and he's worth $30+ million a year, whatever he's getting paid. I'll give the Cardinals a W here. It's in the dome, and it's Kirk Cousins. They did bolster their defensive line this offseason, but I just think that what the Cardinals have right now, they're going to draft a corner. They're going to bring a corner in free agency, you'd think. But for my way too early, I'm taking Kyler Murray over Kirk Cousins. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. All right. So we're going to move on to home games next. We've already did the division ones. Now we're going to do Saints, Bucks, Chiefs, Chargers, Patriots, Eagles. Woo! It's gonna be, let's giddy up, baby. That's gonna be fun. Final segment. First, Built Bar. You hear me talk about Built Bar thrice a week, I think. Best tasting protein bar on the planet. They're all covered in chocolate. They don't taste like chalk. They don't taste like tree bark. And they don't have 80 grams of sugar like a candy bar. They're about 6 bites. They're not like gonna rip. They're not like jujubes inside. You remember jujubes? They're responsible for so many dental practices. Jujubes were. These are a lot easier to chew and ingest. Plus, you get 17, 18, 19 grams of protein, less than 5 grams of sugar, less than 5 net carbs, high fiber, low calorie. Built Bar is the way to go. Coconut almond, mint brownie. They've got these puffs too. Protein infused marshmallow. They're chocolate covered. They've got protein. I don't really know why you're not going to built.com right now. And if you do go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Coming up later today, I will be posting at Locked On AZ Cards on Twitter. Fan Friday. What do you want me to talk about? I will be talking about... Oh, no, it's later tomorrow. Sorry, what day is it? Later tomorrow, I'll be doing Fan Friday for Friday. And I'm just going to... I want to know what you got to talk about, what you want me to talk about. I will be posting on Thursday to talk about on Friday exactly the 3 topics that I think are the most interesting from you. Thank you. Thank you for being along this journey with me. So as of right now, the Cardinals, through 11 games, are 6-5, with home games still to go, one of which is in Mexico. Split with the Rams, split with the 49ers, sweep the Seahawks, puts them 4-2 in division, win Atlanta on the road, lose to Carolina, Denver, and the Raiders on the road, and beat Minnesota. Now, 6 home games outside of, obviously, division, 6 home games, one of which, again, is in Mexico. We don't know which one yet. We don't know where these games are, like in the schedule, but it's April. Who cares? Let's do win-loss record way too early, way too early. New Orleans Saints. It's a team the Cardinals have had trouble with in the past, giving the Cardinals a win. Michael Thomas is back. Alvin Kamara is great. Cam Jordan's still there. They're playing the hits. Taysom Hill's going to do what Taysom Hill does. They brought Jameis Winston back. We'll see. Again, this is really going to determine via the draft and the rest of free agency what the Saints do. As of right now, I'm giving the Cardinals the win at home against the Saints. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home. If you listen to me on Thursday with Tyler Rowland on Locked On NFL, the national podcast, my answer for anything Tom Brady is it's Tom Brady until it's not. And Brady was a cover 0 defense call against the Rams away from making the second best comeback in playoff history. It's Tom Brady. Bucks, Cardinals will lose at home to the greatest quarterback of all time. This is just not fair at home for the Cardinals next year. Next up, and obviously these aren't going to be in order. Next up, Kansas City Chiefs. Boss, look yourself in the mirror and say the Cardinals are going to beat the Bucs and the Chiefs at home, especially as the roster is currently constructed. Loss. Chargers, home, loss. Those 3 of the 6 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Herbert, Mahomes, Brady. And their rosters are stacked. Stacked. Especially the Bucs and the Chargers. So not a pretty inauspicious start for the Cardinals at home. And then they have New England Patriots. That's a tough one at home, but I think the Cardinals are good enough, even at this point, to beat Mac Jones, McCorkle at home. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, give that a win as well. So the Cardinals will go overall at home, in my opinion. They will go, man, this is not ideal. Wow. Cardinals will win 6 games at home, so they'll go 6-3. I have the Cardinals at 9 wins next year. Yikes. Now, remember, this is as of Wednesday, April 6th. Okay? No free agency is not done yet. The draft isn't done yet. As rosters are currently constructed, the Cardinals will win 9 games next year, according to me. This will change. This is the first one. Thanks for being along for the ride. This is going to get so much fun as I do. I'll probably do this 2 more times after the draft. Then, like, as training camp starts, I'll probably do 3 times total. Yeah, this was fun. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day. Make sure to make Locked On NFL Draft your second listen. Ryan Tracy and Eric Crocker, they're geniuses. Absolute and utter geniuses. They'll give you all the information you need. Locked On NFL Draft, free and available on all platforms. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Talk to you tomorrow.